I met Denae over 20 years ago. She, in her apartment building, was a woman, Marjorie Biswell Watson, who was like a second mother to me. She became a second mother to Denae. And Marjorie's daughter, Suzanne, was my closest friend, and we were raised here in Brown's Addition together. And so I've known Denae that time. And I was living in Seattle at the time, and then I moved over here about 17 years ago. And the first thing I did was buy one of her paintings that I'd seen that's above my fireplace. And so throughout the years, then eventually I invited her to our book club. And she had, for a while, she had kind of not, other people had invited her, she had kind of not wanted to join, maybe too busy painting, but then she joined and it became a highlight of her life. She absolutely loved it, and we loved her because every time we had a book, she would read about 3 other books and relate them all together. I mean, we discussed the book, and she was so literate and could tie everything together. It was amazing to all of us. She always came with a stack of notes, and she was always very enthusiastic about it. So through the years, that's how we got to know each other.
We have very high regard for Denae. She's an amazing woman who just had so much brightness to bring the world. And she, made a big impression on us. And, she's amazingly creative, thoughtful person, and we got that about her immediately. And I think our entire clinic loved her.
Yeah, she made an impression wherever she went, and everything she did with grace, and she saw the beauty in everything around her. And even in, you can look around and see her different perspectives, and she's just beautiful, and she's memorable. And so we wanted to be part of her, that was in her honor.
Well, it was hard for Denae to come to Calgary because she didn't like to drive, long distances that. So when she met Neil, she asked if he'd bring her up. And it started that way, that they came up practically every year to visit with me and stayed with me. And we had many adventures together. Before Neil, she'd come up to my farm, and it was really cold out, minus 40 in Canada. And she was determined to do a cowboy scene. So I had some chaps that cowboys wore, so she put them on, had a vest, and we had a rifle. And in minus 40 degree weather, we went out by the corral, and this rifle she was carrying froze in her hands, but she was determined to get that picture, and she did. So it's one of the really good ones from our stories together and adventures. And then when Neil came into the picture, we had a lot of good adventures together.
I'm a recent friend of Denae's. I moved here from Minneapolis, Minnesota to Spokane about 4 years ago, and I was able to get connected with her through a book club. And also we were close neighbors when I lived in Brown's Addition. And Denae, for me, is very unforgettable and memorable in so many aspects of her. She embraced me as a friend, and we became close friends in a very short period of time. I miss Denae. I miss her terribly. When I come to this event, I feel like she's alive. She's alive in her art and in the people that surround her and love her like I do. It feels like she's still present, even though I know she's no longer with me.
So Denae is Gwen's sister, and Gwen was married to my brother for a number of years. And so our families did a lot of things together, and I just absolutely adored her and her way, her grace. She was always so eloquently dressed, and her art came from really her person. She was art herself. I think this is the most beautiful tribute, so fitting for Denae, and her work it's like little lights in the middle of the day when hard things are happening and you got to stop and smell the roses, right? Well, that's what Denae did on a regular basis. She helped us see the beauty, see the visual beauty, because really all of this, it brings joy, and it helps you just take in the moments and say, there's beauty here and there's beauty there, and she captured that.
Denae is my sister, and what brought me here was all these paintings that we had to haul here. Yeah, and to honor Denae with what we present here, and it's a beautiful venue, and I think that the paintings that we got to hang were intentionally put where they were, and it was a work of love. I don't know much about art, but what inspired me was Denae's dedication to what she did. She gave up a lot to produce the art that she did. I mean, this is such a small representation of her life's work that she spent an awful lot of her life, doing this. And she gave up money and a lot of other things so that she could produce what we're looking at here. And that's pretty inspiring for me, because that's dedication to a gift that she was obviously given. And that she had no formal art training. So everything that we see, she did out of her instincts and out of her experimentation and natural talent. So in that respect, it is inspiring.
Denae was the girlfriend of our friend Neil, and Neil worked with Bob here at KSPS, and so we all just kind of gathered together and became really good friends, to the point of they came to our house, we played croquet, and we would go to her place and have delightful nibblies. And so it was that kind of relationship. Yeah. And you two still work together, you and Neil, so.
Neil and I still work together at KSPS, so. But yeah, it was really fun when Neil met Denae. You could tell there was this new light in his life, and they shared so much, interests, but certainly artwork. They combined their artwork, and it was such a great relationship to be able to observe.
Denae is my beloved twin. When we were born, came out first, 10 minutes older, and I always told her all our life that I came out first to see if it was safe for her. And I was surveying what was going on, but Denae was like, I want to come out, I want to start my painting. So that's it. Good, bad, or indifferent, I'm coming out. And she painted most of her life beautiful works of art. This is Denae's last art exhibit. And as her twin, my role in some ways was like Theo to Vincent. So loved her work and tried to promote her. I had hosted many art shows for her. And this was an important one because it was the last one where we could show her work. And my love for Denae, my love for her art, and my love for the beauty that she creates. I wanted, of course, to show her beautiful work and to share it with everyone who came.
If I could go back to just the way that Denae seemed to touch people. A number of years ago, my college roommate came for a visit and spent the night, and we happened to have her first book, When the Neophyte Meets the Loom, in manuscript form there. And we said, we have this. He said, well, I'd like to take a look. He began reading and spent all night reading about half of it, and then we sent the rest of it home with him so he could finish. He then became a very valued supporter of Denae, and so here's someone who I don't think she ever met personally, but who became one of her major supporters in terms of encouragement, artistic and intellectual validation by someone whose judgment she so respected. And so she just had that ability to influence people, even if she never met them personally.
I met Denae kind of a long time ago when we were having a little art show for our garden club, and Denae and 2 other artists showed at it, and that was at the Rockwood Retirement Center. And that was wonderful. That was the first time I met her, and then we have been in the same book club for many years. Denae always had a lot to offer. She was extremely bright and very well read, and she could and very thorough in her examination of a book. Yeah. Her paintings that we have, we both love I call it the lizard chair. It's a chair with a lizard. It's just wonderful. It's one of my favorite things. And then, do you want to tell about the...
Well, it's a woman painting dead fish into bright colors. It's great.
We both love it. And originally, I had seen it and I told Denae I would love to buy it. And she said, I can't let it go yet. And so I thought, okay, she loves the painting. And so I waited a few years, and then I thought, I wonder if Denae is ready to let that go. And I asked her, and she was, and she and Neil came to our house, brought the picture, and we had a remarkable afternoon together, sitting down at a table and just talking. She was remarkable, and it shows in all of her art work, as well as when I think back to all the contributions she made to our various discussions on books. She was a remarkable person.
I'm Justin O'Neill. Denae was my aunt. Gwen is my mom, who was Denae's sister. Denae just meant a lot to so many people, and she was so incredibly selfless and always there to help with absolutely anything. So in the last couple of weeks that Denae was with us, she had asked all of the relatives to come over to her place and just kind of say a final farewell before she had to be moved into hospice, and while she could still hold conversation with us and things like that. And there was this kind of like overlying worry of what she was going to do or what was going to happen with all of this. She didn't want to go into storage or anything like that. And so I just thought, well, why wouldn't we just hold an art show instead of having a big funeral procession or anything like that? Let's just hold an art show and celebrate her life and works. So we're at the Red Band Room is what it's called. It's right next door to Ruins, and the owner of this building, Tony Brown, I've known him for a long time. I was a chef, and he's the chef and owner here, and I immediately thought of the Red Band Room. Tony's a lover of arts. His wife is an artist. She's a photographer, and he was just more than I came in and talked to him, and I said, this is what we'd like to do, and he said, absolutely, no problem. When do you need it? And as you can see, it's just been an absolutely perfect place. The natural light, just the whole space has just turned out incredibly. I think a lot of her personality went into her work, but also into some of the kind of selfless acts that she did. A lot of the things that you don't see in her work is how much she helped the community, how much she helped my brothers and sisters and cousins and nieces and nephews, and the work that she did with the elderly and the homeless, and it goes on and on, really.
What we are seeing here today is, as you probably already know, a retrospective art show of Denae's beautiful, her last pieces that were in her apartment, and we are honoring her life of creating beauty everywhere she went. And this is the beauty that she encased in frames and put on canvases. And we wanted to do something very special for her. She was a special person and lived a very special life. So that's why we're here today.
Well, I'm Denae's younger sister. We were 16 months apart. We were the older girls, so we have a kind of special connection with her. And I think I may have been her first customer. Her first art show was in Mystic Seaport in Connecticut, and her twin put it together, and I think it was the 70s, and I bought a piece there, and I now have 85 to 100 pieces of her work. I started with the French Impressionists and the floral pieces, but she's gone so far beyond that. When we planned the exhibit, our nephew found this beautiful space, but we wanted it to feel like Denae was walking into her apartment, that she would recognize everything. We even brought a few touches from her apartment.
I totally get that
butterfly
feeling.
And,
now that you say that, yeah.
The bouquets, her favorite flowers, and there's gladioli in this picture, and so her twin got bouquets of gladioli. So it has a very friendly, upbeat, artistic feel, but it's also her memorial, so I think we did a good job blending the two.
I can honestly say I would not be standing here in the same situation that I'm in now if it wasn't for Denae's help throughout my life. Like, there's no question.
She made a big impact on her nieces and nephews' life. Not just my kids, but she really poured herself into everything she did, vibrantly and joyfully.
And without ever asking for any sort of a thank you or just, I mean, she was just glad to be there, helping and loving.
Yeah.
My name's Neil Claflin, and Denae and I were technically boyfriend, girlfriend together for 10 years. We didn't really, we were probably close as married people, but did not technically become married. And so we saw each other every day, traveled together, and lived together. Yeah, had a life together. Solid, no interruptions. 10 years and 4 months. The critical things that Denae wanted was, once it was established that we would have an art show, that this was something she wanted to happen, a celebratory art show. The most important thing is that we would be able to come together as me and her siblings as in a harmonious way, not territorial, you know, let's do it that way, not fighting, not pulling this way or another direction. And Denae would be extremely pleased. The show itself is gorgeous. I mean, you'll have looked around, you'll see this stuff. The show itself is gorgeous. I'm very proud of what we've done here. I know that Denae would be just delighted with what we have done. We've sold a number of paintings. We've had a lot of friends and family come in here to see the show. But the most important thing is that we're happy. We're all happy. There's a good feeling with everybody here that this is a good show. We've done a good thing. I feel like it's very important to honor Denae and her work. For me, it's a bit of a completion. It's something that I owe her. It's when somebody has a greatness, a power, and a vision, and a heart, you want to be able to honor that. That's what this is about.
Never again will somebody pass this way in my life, and I think in the world at large, that is as as gifted and beautiful inside and out as Denae Veselits. And her ability to portray that in her art is unparalleled, so that's what I would say.
I had the opportunity in my life to meet Denae Veselits, premier artist, very interesting person. Walking into Denae's world was like walking into a world of fun, intellectual curiosity, and artistic wonderment. And I would love it. I would only occasionally get to be around her, but they were such memorable times. And we have 3 or 4 paintings in our house that Denae has done, and when I walk by them, we've had them for a decade or 2, I stop and look.
She was always interested in seeing things a new way, doing things a new way. It wasn't arbitrary, it was fresh, it was vital, it was powerful. And when she got her vision, she was single-pointed. She would pursue it, she would put it together. She knew what kind of canvas she wanted, she knew what kind of paint she wanted. She knew how she was going to do it, and it was basically, Neil, get out of the way. Yep.